What's going on, guys? Billy here, and today I'm going to be walking through the menu system right within the DJI Osmo Action, and then for the second portion of the video, I'm going to be walking through the DJI Mimo app when connected to the Osmo Action, so that if you don't have this camera, you're wondering what it can do, or maybe if you do have this camera and you don't know where things are placed, you can take a look at this video and find out what you can change, what's there within the menu system, and also where things are placed, because sometimes it can be a little bit confusing. Now, I find myself using the Osmo Action itself pretty much all the time to change the settings that I need to, whether it be frame rates, whether it be resolutions, whether it be the white balance, or just settings for the camera itself. And I use the Mimo app only when I need some help framing up the camera. So if I've got it in a hard to reach place, I can't really see the screen, I simply just use the Mimo application as a secondary screen. But anyway, guys, without further ado, let's jump into this video and walk through the entire menu system of the DJI Osmo Action. Now, to catch you up to speed and to make you a little bit more familiar with this camera, we of course have the back LCD touchscreen that allows us to change between settings and frame up our shot, and we'll be getting to this in just a couple of seconds. But really quickly, I want to show you some of the important buttons around this device. There's 3 of them, and on the top we've got the record and the shutter button, as well as the display button, which allows us to turn this camera on and off with a long press, or with a single press it'll put the camera to sleep or wake it up. Now, on the left side, the final button that we have is the quick switch button, which allows us to quickly switch in between different shooting modes as we press it once and cycle through, or if we hold it, it will switch the screen. So if we want to be shooting on the front screen, or if we want that front screen to show what we're shooting, we hold it and it'll switch. But if you want to do a different method, you can actually double tap the screen with 2 fingers. But as you can see, it's a little bit finicky, like it doesn't work every single time, so I just end up using this button on the side pretty much every single time. Now, on this home screen, on this main live view, we've got our battery life in the top right corner, our exposure value, as well as the color profile we're shooting in the bottom right corner. We've got our frame rate and our resolution in the bottom middle. In the bottom left corner, we've got our different shooting modes, so if we tap on that, we can switch between custom, photo, video. For me, I'll just select video. And in the top left corner, it shows us the remaining capacity in our SD card, but right now I don't have mine in. Now, with this camera, when you're actually changing the settings within the camera, you can change, or you can think of this as 4 different swiping actions. So if we swipe downwards, it'll show us some of the more general settings. If we swipe to the left, it'll show us what's on the camera, what's on the SD card. But as you can see, I don't have an SD card plugged in or put into the camera. If we swipe up, it'll allow us to change our resolution and our frame rate, and also turn on Rocksteady if we want. And then if we swipe to the right, or I guess swipe from the right to the left, it's going to show us our camera settings. We can change our exposure value, as well as some of those miscellaneous camera settings. So what I want to do is go through these in depth, and then afterwards we'll be going over the Mimo application. But again, I like changing all my settings within the camera just because it's actually a lot easier than having to get my phone out. So anyway, if we swipe down from the top, the first thing we've got is this person icon, and within here, we can choose our different custom profiles. So for me, I pretty much only shoot 4K at 30 frames per second. But if you're somebody that likes to shoot in a ton of different resolutions, then you can set up all these different custom profiles and change on the fly for your different shooting scenarios. That is definitely very handy, especially with a small camera like this. This next icon that shows the sun is going to allow us to change the brightness. I've pretty much got mine cranked up at all times. We can also lock the screen. This is a lifesaver if you're going to be using this underwater, because sometimes you have like false screen presses, so if you tap around it doesn't work. But if you want to unlock this, then you just simply swipe up like so. Now, next up, we've got this, which pretty much shows us a whole list of these different settings. We'll wait until the end to go over that, I guess the end of this menu. Next, we've got our rotational settings. So right now it's on auto, so no matter which way I face this camera, it's pretty much always going to be upright. We can always have it face up, so the regular way, no matter which orientation you have the camera, or you can select down, so the entire camera will flip. But for me, I use auto. It seems to work perfectly. Next up, we've got our exposure metering, which I pretty much always have turned off. I'm not sure why that was on, but if you turn it on, you can choose where the exposure will lock onto. As you can see, I'm moving around to brighter and to darker locations, but again, for a small action camera, I never find myself using exposure metering, so I'll turn that off. Next up, we've got voice controls. This is also turned on, but I like to keep them off because I find myself just being able to use the buttons pretty easily. Now also, we can change this bottom right corner, the icon in the bottom right corner, we can change the front screen, like how it looks. So right now with the boxes on the top, we'll see the full 16:9 video, but if we select this, it's actually going to change it to take up the whole entire screen. The only problem is the right and the left side is now going to be cut off, and for me, I like to just change this so that the entire front screen will show the entire frame, because this allows me to know what I'm shooting. Now, the very final icon we have to go over in this menu set brings us to this very long list of all these different settings, and the good thing is a lot of these can be set once and then you don't really have to change them again. You have to go in here very periodically, which is nice because again, it's very dense for such a small screen, but DJI makes it pretty easy to go through. So first of all, we've got our voice control. Again, remember, I like to keep this turned off, but I understand why some people would like to use it. If they're going to be snowboarding and they have it on their helmet and they can't reach the record button, they can just yell at it and say record. We can also change the voice language as well as the command list at the bottom. So it gives us a lot of these different options. Now, next up, we've got snapshot. So with this camera, if you've got it turned off and you just simply hit the record button or the shutter button, it's going to begin doing an action. You can set that to be shoot a video, shoot a photo, shoot slow motion video, shoot time lapse. And this is great because you don't have to wait for it to boot up. It's simply going to turn right on and start shooting. And that's great for capturing the moment. Now, next up, we've got our quick switch. And again, remember that QS button here on the left side, we can actually change this to whatever we want. So we can cycle between different options. And if we select this, then we can choose what we want to be in there. So for me, I use this camera a lot for simply video, time lapses, and photos. So when I go to the quick switch button, it only shows video, photo, or time lapse, and then photo. And those are the things that I pretty much use all the time. So there's no BS in there. I don't have to fight with what I don't need. Everything's in there. Next up, the wireless connection. Of course, this just shows us like the Wi-Fi frequency, the wireless info. It allows us to reset the connection, all that jazz. Next up, we've got wind noise reduction. So within the camera, if we're going to be going fast, we can actually turn the noise reduction on when it's in a windy environment, and it actually does a good job. I tried this on my boosted board going at 20 miles an hour, 22 miles an hour, and it pretty much cut out all the wind noise. So that's actually pretty good. I like to have that turned on just in case. Now the sound's pretty much what you've heard the camera making. I've got it turned on high because I love that audible chirp. So when I started recording, I know it's recording because I heard that loud sound. Next up, we've got the grid. Pretty much right now, I've got a clean interface, but if we turn on, man, it's all the way down here. If we turn on the grid, it now puts this annoying grid on there, and this is great for lining things up, but for me, an action camera, I don't have to worry about that all that much, so I like to turn that off because it's just one less thing that I have to look at. Anti-flicker, I've got this turned to, or set to auto, so no matter what set of lights I'm looking at, they are not going to flicker. That's definitely helpful. The screen auto sleep, this is actually just going to pretty much put the screen to sleep after a certain amount of time. I've got this set to never, just because I'd hate having this set up, and I'd look at my phone for a second and then the screen would be dim. So I've got that set to never, but for auto power off, when the camera will just turn itself off after 15 minutes. I don't just want to leave this thing on for hours. In fact, I think that the longest you can set is 15 minutes. You can't go unlimited. So I've got it set to 15 minutes. Now the LEDs, you can select whether you want them all on, you want them all off, or if you just want that front LED on. For me, I like to have them all on so that no matter which angle I'm looking at the camera, I know that my camera is turned on. Next up, we've got our language, of course, English. That's going to be wherever you guys are located, whatever you speak. The date and time, definitely select this properly or set this properly, because if you're going to be shooting and if you're going to be looking and cataloging your files, there could be a totally wrong date. And then finally, we've got factory reset and about. So that is definitely the most dense portion of this entire menu set. From here, it actually gets pretty simple. So we'll swipe that up. On the left side, again, SD card. There's nothing on my SD card. I don't even have one in. But if we swipe to the left, we can watch our videos. We can view our photos right here on the device. If we swipe up, we can choose our frame rate and our resolution. We've got 4K, 4:3. We've got standard 4K. We've got 2.7K in that 4:3 aspect ratio. We've got 2.7K. We've got 1080p. And of course 720p, and each of these will get their own respective frame rate. So with 2.7K, 4K, we go up to 60 frames per second. But with 1080p and 720p, we can actually go all the way up to 240 frames per second. But as you guys know, as I've already stated, I love to shoot in 4K, 30 FPS, and I also like to turn on Rocksteady. Now next up, swiping to the right, swiping to the left from the right, we've got our camera settings. And for me, for an action camera, I pretty much always have mine set to automatic. So right here, we can choose between automatic exposure settings or our manual exposure settings. And from here, we can choose our ISO as well as our shutter speed. And for a small action camera, I find that auto just gets the job done. I shoot in D-Cine-alike, and we'll get into that in a second. So I overexpose slightly just to make the shadows pop a little bit more. And my max ISO is 3200, but it's great. If you don't want this camera to go above, say, 800, you can crank that down, and now your camera will never go above 800. But if you're shooting in a low light situation, then you might get a darker shot than you anticipated. So for me, I like to set it up to 3200 unless I'm doing something that's a little bit different that actually involves needing a lower ISO. So for me, I just have this set to 3200. I find that to be the easiest. And then if we select this final camera icon in the bottom right corner, we can set our white balance. For me, I've got it set to auto white balance, but you can of course do custom. You can also choose your color profile between normal or D-Cine-alike. I like to shoot in D-Cine-alike. This gives me a lot of different flexibility in post when I'm color grading. And finally, we can turn D-Warp on or off. I pretty much always shoot with this turned on, just because I hate that fisheye look. But actually, this tends to turn off a lot on me. Like if you change your settings and if you change between photo and video mode and you go back, D-Warp will be turned off. It's very annoying, but you can always fix that in post. And actually, you can scroll down. There's one more thing. You can choose your format. For me, I choose .mov because that plays nicely with Max. But this setting basically just dictates what file format your video files will be coming out in, whether they're .mov or .mp4. All right, now as promised, let's walk through the Mimo application. I kind of showed you guys what settings I use, so rather than show you the settings I use, why I use them, and go into a bunch of depth explaining them, instead I'm going to be showing you guys where to find everything and sort of how the Mimo application is laid out. Now, if you've used the Osmo Pocket, then you should pretty much know where all this stuff is because it's basically the same application. But if you're new to the Osmo Action, then hopefully this helps you guys out. Now, if you guys did just get your Osmo Action, maybe it will help to set up your camera for the first time through this application. But again, I find myself changing a lot of the settings just on the camera itself. So here on this home screen, on this live view, we've got the histogram in the top right corner. Even though I trashed the grid line, for some reason it's turned on here in the Mimo application. But on the right side, we've got the shutter button as well as the record button, and we can choose between our different shooting modes. So we've got video, we've got photo, we've got HDR video, slow motion, and time lapse. And as we sit here and change through all these different options, it actually switches in real time over on the camera as well. So that is pretty cool. Now in the bottom right corner, we can see some of the different video clips and some of the different photos we've shot. That's marked by that box icon with the play button in the middle. But as you guys know, I don't have an SD card in there. On the bottom, we've got our shutter speed, the ISO value, as well as the exposure value. In the top left corner, we've got our connection. It shows a little Wi-Fi symbol there. So it shows our device's, signal strength between the phone, the Mimo application, as well as our Osmo Action. It also shows the battery life in terms of a percentage. It shows we have Rocksteady turned on, and it shows the remaining capacity within our SD card. Now, if we wanted to go back to the home screen, back to the home menu of the Mimo app, we could simply hit the home button. That brings us back to this home screen, but we want to go to our camera. Now, underneath of the home button, we've got the option to choose our exposure settings. We've got the option to choose our frame rate as well as a resolution. And then this bottom icon, the three dots, is going to allow us to choose some of the different general settings. So again, this first icon allows us to choose either automatic exposure settings or manual. As you guys know, I just kind of like to use automatic, shoot on the fly. Next up, we have got our resolution settings. This allows us to choose the different frame rates as well as the different video frame rates. So again, I shoot 4K 30, but if you wanted to, you can bump that up to 4K 60. You could go to 1080p at 240. You can do whatever you want. But again, for me, just personal preference, 4K 30. I think that is going to get the job done pretty much every single time. Now, finally, this down here, the bottom three dots. This is where pretty much everything that was housed in that very dense menu is located, and also a couple of other extras, especially a lot of these different camera settings. So we can choose to turn D-Warp either on or off. As I showed you guys before, it pretty much automatically always turns off, so I always try to remind myself to turn on D-Warp. Of course, Rocksteady turned on to get that nice stable footage. The video format, either .mov or .mp4, that's what the file format is going to be when it comes out of the camera. We've also got spot metering, and I will say the exposure metering works a little bit better on this, so we can change on the fly. We can move the exposure metering around as we need to. We can also hit X, or we can even change it by going up and down. So that's a nice thing to do if we wanted to use exposure metering here within the Mimo application. I think it works a lot better in here than it does right on the camera itself. But again, turn that off. My white balance, I have this set to automatic. I think that the DJI Osmo Action actually does a good job at setting the white balance properly. For me, I use the Sony a7 III, and I noticed that that is very aggressive when it changes its white balance. But for the Osmo Action, I've really had no issue. So automatic works fine for me, but if you wanted to, you could also set it custom depending on what you think the value should be outside or inside, wherever you're going to be shooting. Now we again have the ISO max, so we're going to go up to a maximum of 3200. You can set that accordingly. You can also choose your color. For me, it's decentral pretty much all day, every day. Anti-flicker auto. Grid lines, turn those off because, as I stated earlier, they're annoying. We can turn overexposure alert on as well. I don't believe we can actually do this within the Osmo Action, so that's something we can turn on. And of course, the histogram, this box which is turned on, and I'm dragging around. We've got that turned on. I love to have that on no matter what camera I'm shooting with. So those are pretty much all of the camera settings. Now we also have another option, this bottom left icon marked by the 3 boxes. This shows us our general settings. So we've got device management. This allows us to change between our different devices we have connected. So if we have multiple Osmo Actions set up, we can switch between them. That's nice because sometimes people like to record at different angles, different vantage points. Next up, our SD card capacity. This shows us, of course, how much we're using of our card, how much video, how much photo we've taken to fill up the card. Next up, we've got format SD card. That doesn't give me the optional format because nothing is in there. Screen flip, this was where I showed you guys how you can either have it looking up, looking down. So if I change the screen flip to up or down, you can't really see here on the Mimo application, but on the screen on the Osmo Action, it now changed the orientation of the camera. For me, I've got this set to auto. Wind noise reduction turned off, that's a lifesaver. Voice control turned off, that's right there. We've also got the voice language, so you can choose English, and of course you've got command list. Now you don't have to choose English, of course you can choose, if it would register my tap here, we can choose whatever language we want, which right now is only English, and that looks like Chinese. Next up, we've got the Wi-Fi settings, so we can choose our login name or our Wi-Fi password name, as well as the password. Don't connect to my Osmo Action. And then finally, we have the Wi-Fi frequency, 5.8 gigahertz, 2.4 gigahertz. I'll keep that on auto to switch back as it needs to. And finally, the about, and I'm going to have to blur that out. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed the video, and above all, I hope that you were able to learn something about your DJI Osmo Action in this video. Feel free to let me know down in the comment section if you have any questions. I really can't wait to use this camera even more this summer in different scenarios. It's been a lot of fun to use. Again, if you guys have seen some of my previous videos on the Osmo Action, you know I haven't used action cameras all that much, but the Osmo Action kind of has me all in, and I'm buying a ton of accessories. I'm using it in a bunch of different use case scenarios, and again, I just cannot wait to continue to shoot on it. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.